My name is Fiona Harrison, and along with Patrick and Sheila, I founded the Christchurch School Community Garden in 2017.
I'm Patrick, and along with Fiona and my wife, we started this, as Fiona's mentioned. We were local gardeners, but part of a local community, a residents association, and we were put together by a councillor and the local vicar to do a project. Someone wanted a bit of clearing done in their yard, they couldn't do it. And Fiona had this project in mind, and we just bought into it immediately, and that was 7 years ago. And look at it now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's glorious.
There's a blank space with just a bit of grubby turf.
Yeah. And we've had grants. We've had mentioned community infrastructure levy money. We had some money for our outdoor classroom and our greenhouse.
Yeah.
And
so that set us up in the first year, didn't it?
Yeah.
All right. It was really important to have two things, I think, to start a community garden, which was water. You absolutely need water, and that's sort of tip number one. And tip number two would be to have a place where your volunteers can shelter, whatever that happens to be. In our case, it's our outdoor classroom, which operates as a hub, for us. But we also offer it out to other community groups for free if they want to use it. So it gets used quite regularly in the summer. Not so much in the winter. It's a bit cold in there.
But
yes,
it does provide shelter for us.
It does, and that sustains your volunteers. So if you're looking to attract volunteers, you have to have those two things really. So if you're on your own, you can do whatever you like, but to attract volunteers, you've got to have the water and the shelter.
Yeah.
Using this as a showcase garden of what can be done to a blank space, and using this as a repository for plants that we want to put in other places. So down the road, for instance, there's a garden called the Rose Garden, and it was an unloved piece of housing land that the council tried to sell off a few years ago, and then very quickly thought better of it. And we've been trying to make sure that piece of land, that green space, vital green space, and very rare green space in East Greenwich, stays that way. And the strength of feeling amongst locals in the area about keeping that space green was very high, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So we finally managed, by ways and means, to collaborate with the council, and we planted 88 metres of native hedgerow all the way around the border. And we're still working with the council now on the further development of that garden, but also another garden round the corner, which is also another piece of housing land, which is unloved and not very attractive. And this winter, that will start to take shape. So myself, Patrick and Sheila spend a lot of time influencing the area outside of the walls of this garden, and this garden is the showcase for it. It helps hugely that we have it here, because we can host people and show people what can be done. What do you think?
Oh, I agree with everything you've said. Working with the council has been interesting because there hasn't historically been a lot of collaboration between residents and the council, and it's been very positive, but we're finding our way, and I think good things will come of it. But I mean, what else can I say? What's been fascinating for me as when we get the children in here, especially later on in the year, in the growing season when things are, beans, peas, whatever, are growing, carrots, the fact that children can just pick a bit of, a vegetable or a bit of fruit off a tree and eat it, they don't know where it comes from. And it's not just children. I think generations of people don't really know what vegetable plants look like, or fruit plants look like.
It gets wrapped in plastic.
Yeah, and I think that is incredibly valuable, and that is something we're quite passionate about.
We are.
And definitely that's one of the more important things we do here.
We ran a program for the children that we found some money for, and it was a program that ran from April through to October, and every single class came out here for 90 minutes every week. And the program to refer back to Patrick's point, the program we ran was called Plant to Plate, and what we wanted to showcase was how to grow food, how to look after it while it's growing, how to then harvest it, and what kind of things could you cook with these plants. And so it was a growing and cooking course for the children, which they loved, didn't they? And we loved them having that here. But the cost of that was over £4,000 to do that for the 1 year, and so we would have to singularly go back and find that funding, because it's not within the gift of the school teachers or staff to be able to do that. As much as we wanted to encourage them to come out and do those things themselves, using their curriculum to do it, which they could, it's just proved too difficult for them under the constraints that they have and the time pressure and the heavy curriculum commitments. So we will try and find the money again, and there'll be another lucky load of primary school children who can do that at some other stage.
There's a local city farm that has a mobile farm unit that they bring out.
Farm.
It's Surrey Docks City Farm, yes. just in a neighbouring borough. But they were able to come out, and kids for the day got to see animals in a setting like this. This is a really lovely therapeutic space.
Yeah.
And certainly during lockdown, we were still able to garden during lockdown, and it was
because
complete.
Volunteering was legal.
Yeah.
So yes, we were beekeeping under lockdown as well. We went and ended up picking up a swarm of bees in Greenwich Park. We attracted quite a crowd, didn't we? It was the most fun you could have in lockdown, was picking up a swarm of bees from a tree in Greenwich Park and bringing them back. But yes, it's been so important to all of our volunteers that they have this space. Many of the volunteers live in flats without balconies and without growing space, and they come here not just to garden, but another problem that they have in flats here particularly is that their food waste doesn't get picked up. It has to go in general waste. And so a lot of our volunteers bring their food waste and they put it on our compost heap, and so they contribute in that way to our lovely soil that we have for growing our plants and nurturing them. Yeah, we do also. So this feels like a series of mini therapeutic projects, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We have a wildlife pond that is sort of a project on its own. The fruit trees, in essence, are a project on their own. The ornamental gardening, the food growing, and the wildlife. It's all, and the forest school, our management of forest school, that's a very different project as well, and we treat that very differently to the way we garden in here.
I mean, it's sort of also looking around. I mean, we talk about we've got a mini orchard, an orchard here, a selection of fruit trees. That was done by a project called someone called the Orchard Project, that gets grants to put orchards in community spaces.
Very excited. He's coming back on Monday, isn't he?
He's coming back next week for a training session, how to, aftercare of maturing fruit trees. Fiona managed to get a grant for a sustainable drainage system and some trees out on the road. There are pots of money around that you can access, or grants in kind, in effect, that you can access. Councils can't, but individual groups, groups like us can. And I think that is important. There are bits and pieces around. You have to look for them, and Fiona's very good at getting these things. You've really got your eye in. Anywhere with lots of building work will have a community infrastructure levy fund that the councils are mandated to spend in local mitigation. Different councils do it differently. But that's another funding source. But yeah, I mean, if I had to say anything, talk about greening streets, street trees. street trees. Just that every street should have trees on it, however it happens. And we managed to get street trees locally, certainly the street I live on, and other local streets. It's a convoluted thing to do within, you apply to the council, you have to get a petition of local residents who want the trees, but that's normally fairly straightforward. And then it's presented to the council, then it's discussed. And if there's funding, you'll eventually get the trees.
Yeah.
But it is worth the effort. People really should take the initiative and not be afraid to water, their own street trees. The council used to, when they did plant street trees, they would give local residents information on how much water and ask them to water. I'm not sure they do that anymore. I certainly hope they do. But that is definitely, it isn't down to the council to do everything.
First step to a balcony garden, I think, is to, like Patrick was saying, to find something that has lots and lots of value to you. So it might be something that fruits that you can eat. It might be something that looks good at many points in the year. So something small that has flowers that are of interest, interesting foliage, maybe interesting bark of a small miniature tree.
I would say the first thing to do is just look at the sun. See where the sun is in relation to your balcony. See how many hours of sunlight you get a day. I think that's quite important in determining what you can grow. Wind conditions, lots of balconies, certainly on the river, are really windy. And unless you've got some sort of proper screening, it's just about impossible to grow.
When we think about people's gardens that we know on balconies, obviously you have glass screening.
Yeah.
And so one of our volunteers has a place on the river with a small balcony, and her planters are below that wind, so they don't get as much wind. The moment the plants start to go above the sort of balcony edge, then they get a battering.
Yeah.
But if you can grow things that are quite low, then your conditions are much better in that low area behind the barriers on your balcony.
Yes, I shouldn't be too negative, and you should not be put off. A bit of research always helps, but certainly the sun, wind, and just what plants. If there are loads of plants that grow in shade, so you don't need sun, or in semi-shade, shady conditions. So you have to just find out what the conditions are in the space you want to garden in or put plants in. That would be my main.
Yeah. Failing that, just go for something that you like, something that gives you pleasure to look at and maybe smell, and try. Just give it a go.
A bit of a learning process, a bit hit and miss.
And community gardens like ours will often give away plants for free for people to try in their own spaces. So, if you don't want to spend any money giving it a go and find your local community garden and see what they can offer you. And they can also offer you advice, like we're doing.
Indeed. And if you have something that doesn't grow, don't throw it away. Give it to your local community garden.
Give it to us, yes.
People change their gardens, and people around here certainly know now that you don't have to throw stuff away. Give it to us, and we're happy to take it. And we're generally able to, if we can't use it, we'll pass it on.
We were called on in, I think, 2018 to go and rescue, 2019, to go and rescue a load of roses from a demolition site. So we have some really beautiful hybrid teas in pinks and reds here that we dug out of the ground before the whole thing was demolished. Very sad, but to our benefit, they're here.
Yeah.
We've rescued mountains of wildflower turf from the school up the road, where the council had overbought, and we picked it up in a car, and in between Christmas and New Year we laid it everywhere. And the oxeye daisies and the knapweed are from that original.
Self-flowering.
Yes, and they come up every year, and we don't have the turf anymore, but we've got the results of the self-seeding. So self-seeded natives like oxeye daisies are brilliant for small spaces, because they will keep doing and going, and you don't have to do too much to them. They don't need much care, do they?
No.
Yeah.
No, they're virtually none. I mean,
No,
they're
a bit of
glorious.
staking
Yeah.
to keep them upright sometimes, but yeah, anything that self-seeds is just a winner around here.
I mean,
'cause
lots of stuff in here. This is a managed bed, but I mean, the poppies are all self-seeded in the
they are.
California poppies. And, yeah. From local developers, often doing corporate social days, like corporate,
Volunteering. Yeah.
volunteering days, giving us a lot of plants. One local developer, when they were finished with their showroom and the planting around it, we were, given a day's access to it and means of transport. They, laid on a van for us, or a small lorry,
Yeah.
and that really provided the bones of this garden.
Yeah, the bones of the garden are these lollipop arbutus that we have. We've got
We've got six
bays,
bay trees
six
and
bay trees,
copper beeches, you name it. There's also
two
cherry
fruiting-
trees.
Yeah, the flowering cherries, and all our lavender actually.
Yeah.
That's all come from that marketing suite that they were going to put in a skip, and so they gave it to us instead.
But it is really quick community payback. But they've also given us, hard landscaping products. We've got a lot of sleepers out of one developer. We've got a lot of,
10 tons of wood chip for the forest school.
Yes, cladding. When balcony cladding had to come down as part of the, cladding remediation, we got, massive amounts of cedar plank, which is really nice wood to work with.
Yeah, we've
It's quite long
made raised
lasting.
beds out of it.
Yeah.
Tables, all
So,
sorts of things.
I mean, yes. So any developers out there who find yourself a local community project and support them, with your building materials, with your,
Yeah, you
helping
don't have to
kind,
throw money at it, but throwing time
Yeah.
and expertise. We had so we've had our electrics put into the outdoor classroom by that developer who found this project, and so we've got electrics in our greenhouse, and electrics and lighting in our outdoor classroom, so that we can, crucially, we can put an urn on so that we can have a cup of tea, which is also very important for the volunteers, isn't it? Somewhere to shelter, somewhere to have a cup of tea after all their toiling. It's been essential. But yeah, Patrick's right. Developers, if you go and find developers or they find you, they can be extremely helpful.
There's usually some sort of corporate social responsibility clause in a developer's contract, and this is a good way of fulfilling that. That's all I'm saying. Developers, look, search us out.
Yeah, come find us.
Yes.